Testing, one, two. Hello, my name is Troy White. I'm a financial planner, investment manager with Hoodoo Financial. Today, I just want to say a few words about some current events. In fact, I'll tell you a little story. Um, I'm going to say a story about a magic word. And let me start off and say I am a musician, or I used to be. Um, Growing up, ever since I was a kid, I've been a musician. My mother had a lot of instruments around the house. We had bongos, congas, timbales, uh, tambourines, vibraslap, chimes, um, cowbells, everything. We used to disturb the peace, no doubt about it. We had the stereo, you turn it up, them old kind that it was just blasting. That's the kind of house we had. Music was a big deal. I was a big funk fan. But anyway, I'm only saying that, just saying I had a music thing, a big time music thing. Played the guitar, the bass, all that, piano. So I would like always be on the lookout for sounds. And that's what I'm saying. It's a story about magic word. So I would just, anytime I hear an interesting sound that sort of, resonated in me, that meant something, put a pin in that. Then I'm going to jump to something else. I'm from Oakland, California. I was a big time admirer of the Black Panthers and specifically Huey P. Newton. So, around here, it was always free Huey everywhere you go, everywhere. I'm talking about I was little. So, all in those early years of me growing up, the news out here was constantly hating on the Black Panthers, reporting in a bad way about them. So, and like I say, I admired them. So anybody who was hating on them, it's like I'm not gonna forget who is this talking, right? So they stood out to me as a hater as one of the reporters on TV. Not one of any reporter that hated on the Black Panthers. I sort of took it as this is your opinion, not just that this is they're reading the news, but you are saying it in a way that you agree. So you hate on the Black Panthers, you hate on Huey, then I don't like you. That's the way that I used to think about it. Put a pin in that. All right, let me tell you. And I said I admired them a great deal. There was a one Black Panther in our neighborhood. In fact, it was the only family in our whole on my street, the only one that had a big family, and the father of those kids are actually the man that lives in that house and takes care of that family. And they was very hood, but he was a Black Panther. I admired him. Shout out to the Stafford family. That's like my family. Those are like my family. I grew up with them. So, Big Glenn used to be a Panther. So I admired Big Glenn. I admired Huey P. Newton. So anybody got something negative to say about them, that stood out to me. All right, put a pin in that. So one day I heard one of those reporters that I know as haters of Huey say this word. And you know how when you're like watching television, but you're not watching it, and you hear something, you turn around, you look like what was that? What was it? What's that? So that's how I remember hearing this word. The word said, they said that word. I said, what's that? I remember that very clearly, like, hey, what's that word? It's like that word tickled my ears, like music. That's why I'm telling you why I'm a musician. I'm saying this is the type of, I always look for sounds that interest me, um, and that was just one of my things that I did, right? So when I heard this sound, I'll always be like, what's that? And so it even sort of like you hear a certain chord. If you're a musician, you'll hear a chord and you'll just be like, I feel that. I feel that like a chord combination, a certain harmony or something. It just puts a feeling inside you. So when I would hear that sound, it put that same feeling like, what's that? I need to know about that. What is that? What are you saying? What is that word? Just the notes of the word or the way it was said, or was it just that the hater was saying it that made me say I need to know this word? I don't know, but let's follow it on out. So I had a friend, and I was 14 years old at this time. This word, I never knew what it is. I just, every time I was like, it would be a fleeting sound, and I would never catch what is it. What is that word? What do you mean? And so I had a friend, and I was going to go to his house this weekend at 14 years old. And I was going to spend the night at his house. He had a girlfriend that was older than him. He had flunked some year in his life. And so he was in my grade, but he was a year older than me. And his girlfriend was a year older than him. And and that girlfriend, I knew her, he met her. She didn't go to our school or nothing like that, but I had met her, and so she was gonna hook me up with her friend. So that's what this weekend was about. So about me going to spend the night over there. So of course, I'm juiced. I'm like, I'm finna get an older girlfriend. And let me point out, I'm 14 years old, so he's probably like 15. So the girl's probably like 16. And I know that he is having sex with that girl. So I'm like, I need to meet her friend. This was a big deal to a young 15-year-old. And I'm thinking, oh, she's gonna be the finest girl on earth. This is gonna be the best thing ever happened, right? So and when I say my friend's house, he lived at his grandmother's house. So and he was like living at his grandmother's. His grandmother was a nurse. This is important too. His grandmother was a nurse. She worked at Highland Hospital on a late night. So whenever I'm at his house, we got the house to ourselves. I mean, it was, I'll tell you a lot of stories about how we used to kick it over there. But so all that's important. So I'm coming over there for the weekend for that episode, right? So we're gonna go over to the girl's house, and when I'm over his house, we can stay out till whenever, because his grandmother works late night at Highland Hospital. That's where all the emergencies that happen. Anybody gets shot, they're taking you to Highland. I don't care where you get shot at, what hospital is close, they're taking you to Highland. So she works all night. She come home about 2, 3, 4 in the morning or something like that. And so uh, I'm over there. We just killing time until it's time to go to the girl's house. So they got cable at their house, and I was like, I didn't have cable. This is a cable when you hit the cable box and you hit the buttons, like it was three, you can hit this level and then you hit all of them and then you go to that level and you hit all of them and then you hit that level, you hit all of them. and those are the channels on cable. And this you had to walk up to the TV and do this. So I'm flipping the channels, plop, 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 just going through, clap, plop, 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 hitting all the buttons. And lo and behold, I hear that word. They said, "Boom." I said, "What?" I clicked back. What was that? They said the magic word. I said, "What was that? What? They finna speak on it?" They said, "Yeah, coming up next, we gonna interview." They said that word. I was like, "What is that?" Oh, let me wait. I'm in it and I'm saying it like this because it's like it was calling me. This word. I had been hitting and missing on this word, but somehow I knew it was important in this word. And it kept ringing in my ears, but I never knew what is this about? What's the commotion? Why do this word keep calling my name? So we killing time. I'm flipping channels. We got about like 15 or so minutes until it's time to go to the girl's house. I'm flipping channels. They said this word just about to come up. I'm looking at the time. Oh man. Okay. I start whatever the channel. I wait for the thing to come on. It comes on, and now I finally understood what this word is, and I start listening to the interviewer discuss just all these topics with this person. Now let me tell you what the word was. The word was Farrakhan. Every time I would hear that word, I'll be like, "What is that? What?" Like something tapped me on the shoulder. It would say, the news and such Farrakhan. I'll be like, What, what is that word? I have never heard that word before. What do that mean? But I mean over and over, but it was hitting and missing. I was like, what are they talking about? What is that? What is a Farrakhan? I don't know what it is. I didn't even know it was a person. I was like, what's that mean? What are you talking about? Is that a book or something? So I started watching the interview and I was stuck. I was like, what? Yeah. Everything he was saying, I was like, yeah, just like stuck. My partner was like, "All right, man, it's time to go. They waiting. It's time to go." I said, "Man, just give me 5 more minutes. Just give me 5 more minutes. Just give me 5 more minutes." He was sweating me. He was like, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. I said, "Man," he kept sweating. He was like, "Man, I'm finna turn the TV off, man. It's time to go. They over there." I was like, "Man, I'm not going nowhere." And realized this is his grandmother house. What you mean you not going nowhere? In my house, you were sitting in the house, in my house, in my grandmother's house. I said, "Man, I don't care nothing. I'm listening to this right now. I don't care nothing about them bras, man. I'm finna keep listening to this. I'm not going nowhere." And he saw I'm in business. And he said, all right. He left. I'm in his mother house. He cut lights off and everything. It's just me in the dark with the little TV glowing. You know how the old school TVs. And I was stuck. Man, he came back about 4 or 5 hours later, and I had watched that. It was a PBS interview of Farrakhan. It lasted about 2 hours because but I was just mesmerized with what the dude was saying. Ever since then, when Farrakhan speaks, I'm like, what? And I realized over all of these years, the level of haterism coming from everyone towards him. And I can never understand it. But what I always notice is when they hate on him, they never say nothing. It's like, but what exactly are you opposed to what he said? That's what I really want to know. It's like, I honestly want to know. And any criticism of him, the only thing that is given as a justification is he is known to say anti-Semitic things. So then this is they've been saying this for since I was 14. I am not 14. I am 51. So since I was 14, I've been hearing that this guy is anti-Semitic. So obviously, I had to find out. Excuse me for my ignorance, but what the hell is a Semite? So I had to go down that path to understand what is that. Why are they saying this guy here? I have never heard him say the word Semite, so I didn't know what is anti against the Semites. So I had to go down that path to, understand what I'm talking about. To develop opinion, I had to listen to what the criticism is and evaluate that for myself. I've been that way since age 14. So, anyway, that was a long way to get into saying that. Wow, I just heard today Farrakhan gets banned from uh, Facebook and Instagram. Like, what? Um, I mean, we don't need to dive into what's behind that. I don't care to go in there because every person listening to me knows exactly what that's all about. But I just wanted to share the story of the greatness of the word that it it his name has been calling me since I was 14. The sound of his voice has been calling me since I was 14. Anytime I hear his voice, what? I'm listening. I'm paying attention. That's the level of respect. That's the level of respect I got for Farrakhan. I'm still listening. Holla back.